Hey, this is Mad Hatter, and I'm getting ready for 1.21 to come out, and I have so many things that I just haven't done the tutorials on. So this is another one. This is an XP bank that smelts a single type of items and locks the hoppers for you to be able to get in, and then you could push a button once you've pulled the XP out, and it will fill up to a certain amount of XP. If you want to know how much XP it will be, here's a list of items that should be on screen and how much XP you'll get and what that means for you playing. Generally, this is meant for like a hoglin farm or a fish farm to give you a specific amount of XP, but you do need to filter the items before they go in here. This is just going to cover the array. It's not going to cover the input and the filtering mechanisms. You'll have to grab that in a different way, but you can look at my channel. Maybe there's a link on the screen for a type of filter that you can use. So I do have Structura files for this. This is on Structura Lab. It'll give you the materials list for a slice. It looks like this. I am not going to just show you how to build from there. I'm going to show you block for block the best way that I think to place these in. So what's going to happen? We'll go over that now, and it will be a clip from the end of the build. Okay, so how does this work? Right now, this furnace is smelting. There's no pork chops inside of it. That means that it's not ready. The flame's lit, it's running through. This one also not ready. If the furnace is off and it's full of pork chops, it is ready to have your XP taken out. Okay, I have no XP now. I cleared it with commands. And if I go and I grab one stack of pork chops out of here, I have 34 levels. I push this button and it's going to reset the XP bank, and this will begin smelting and filling everything back up. Same with any of these, and I can grab from anywhere along this line. Push the button and it locked. I'll show you how that looks from below. This piston, when we push the button, gets pressed down, and then this torch opens up, and this locks and allows items to transfer down until this hopper is empty. Right now that hopper is being filled at 2 hopper speed, so it's not going to go empty until most of the items are out of here, and then it will lock up. Once this hopper is empty, this block will stop being powered, and it will retract this piston, and it will also retract this piston, resetting it to its original state, which you can see down here is like this. So let's get into the build, and you can see exactly how I built this small furnace array. Note, you want these to be absolutely massive. They need to be huge, otherwise they will not store much XP. The bigger they are, the more XP they store. Hey, coming back in the edit, one really quick thing that I forgot to mention. When all of the pork chops are done, you do get them all shulkered up in the bottom, and they sit right here. As it's draining, it will fill the shulkers. For each one of these furnaces that you pull XP out of, you get about 3 shulkers of pork chops. So let's get into the build. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab a chest and a hopper, and we're going to set this as our output. This is where all the shulkers full of items will go, and just so you know, you're going to want to put a fair bit of storage on there depending on the type of item you're smelting, because if this all backs up, you're going to lose your items. So next thing, we're going to place a hopper down, and you can place these 2 spaces between them, and you can do this as many times as you want. We'll just do a couple of these. All right, now the next thing that we're going to need is a sticky piston. And we're going to place the sticky piston to the right of each of these hoppers that are facing down. And then we're going to grab an observer, and we're going to put the observer facing this way. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is grab a dispenser. Make sure you grab a dispenser. This won't work if you use a dropper. We're going to hop up here and place the dispensers facing up. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is grab a helper block. This is going to get broken. And a dropper. This has to be a dropper again. You can't substitute it in for something else. We're going to put a helper block next to each of these observers, and then it is easiest to do it from up here. We're going to place the dropper in like this. Okay, and then we can break out those helper blocks Okay, now this is where your shulkers are going to get brought in. I'm not going to put in the shulker storage right now. I'm just going to place a hopper. You can put auto crafters in once 121 comes out. So if you want a tutorial on how to make a automatic shulker crafter, subscribe. I'll have one as soon as 1.20 is out, 21 is out, but I'm not going to publish a tutorial until I know it's going to work. And that's just kind of the way it goes. This is only going to cover what I know works right now. So now we're going to grab some glass and we're going to glass this in. Just kind of building out the floor to walk on. Now we're going to grab a comparator and a repeater, which I forgot to put on the ground. Get back up here. The comparator goes on top of the hopper. And then a repeater on 2 ticks. I said on 2 ticks. Then a repeater facing this way. And we're going to need a piece of glass behind that repeater. So if it makes it easier to place in the glass, do that now. And then we're going to place the repeater facing the sticky piston. That's on default ticks. Now we're going to need a powerable block or a solid block. And those are going to go here on top of the piston and here in front of the repeater on 2 ticks. Now we're going to grab dust. There's going to be 2 places dust gets placed. One here to get powered by the comparator when it's full, and one here to set the threshold for fullness. So I'm going to set that up now. Okay, and then we're going to grab a redstone block and we'll do a check-in point. Put a redstone block there, 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 and there. And this is what it should look like from the top down. If you look, we have the comparator being powered by this redstone block. That could be a lever too if you want. It's just easy for me to put a redstone block in. And the circuit here that will detect the shulker is full, and then delay a little bit, and then push out this observer to trigger the dropper to trigger the dispenser. Now we got to put in our pistons and our shulkers. So we're going to put pistons facing this way. I said this way. And then a shulker right there. Now this is a point where it's going to be easiest to place 3 these bottom hoppers in, and then we're going to have to get access to the top side. So we're going to build up one of these just as like a staircase to get up to the top. So we're going to go up 1 and 2. We're going to put a temporary block and then a sticky piston. And I need a sticky piston. And we're going to put an entire line of sticky pistons facing up. This is going to cover the entire width of your array. You can make this as wide as you want, though. Okay. And then we're going to break this out and we're going to grab redstone torches. And just so that we don't forget these, we're going to place the redstone torches on each of these pistons while we have access. These will lock the hoppers while the system is filling, and then it will unlock them when it's draining. Then we're going to build our floor in. You could put the redstone blocks in now, but I find it easier to put them in a little bit. So let's build up a little bit higher. We're going to go up. We're going to go up. We'll put in our comparators because those are actually easy to put in now. Okay. And then we're going to put in our hopper down and a hopper back. And you can also build up this second column if you want. So you can get up top like that. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in a floor. This is 2 blocks wide. And this is going to be the floor that you are so this is your access floor. This is where you're going to reach the smokers or the smelters, and you're going to actually repair your tools. Now, if I go down from the bottom to get to the access floor, just for your own reference, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks tall. Now, we have put this floor in. We're going to jump down and we're going to grab a sticky piston and we're going to place it against this floor facing down. It's just easier to get this piston in this way in survival if you are building these in bulk. Then the next thing, you're going to just fill this in. These have to be redstone blocks, but you're going to fill in redstone blocks there. Now we can actually build up all of these hoppers. So the way that you do that is make sure that they're all facing straight down, and I just pillar up until I get to this height. Okay, now what you can do is you can place hoppers in this way. And we're going to need chests next. I also place hoppers facing this way. Then I grab my chests and I place it on these back two. And then I place a hopper facing into these chests. And then I usually place some stairs down just to make it look better. And then you could place your smokers, your furnaces, or your blast furnaces, whichever ones are appropriate for the material you're planning to use. I'm not going to tell you that this will only work for one type of farm, but if you're doing meats or kelp, smokers may be better than furnaces. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in a set of furnaces here. And then we're going to do our input's going to be on this this side over here. We're going to put our input over here. So we're going to put a overflow, and I'd actually recommend an overflow burner, but I'm not going to build one for this. And you're just going to go across like this. The reason that you want an overflow burner is because these smokers, once they get full, they will not take anything more in. These are going to lock once they get a certain amount of XP in them, allowing the XP to build up in each one of these. So for instance, if you're using pork chops, this will fill up with enough to repair a pick, and then this one will fill up with enough to repair a pick, and it will go from left to right until it's full, and then you need to burn away your extras. Okay, now the last thing that you need is buttons. So buttons on these blocks in front of the stairs. Okay, so let's put in the fuel system. And I'm going to do a very simple fuel system. We're going to go around like this. And we're going to get some powered rails and some normal rails. Powered rail here, normal rail here, and then powered rails all along. At the end, we're going to put our block of quartz. And then in the middle, we're going to just put a redstone block. Make sure all of them are powered on. Yep. And then we're going to build a little bit of a floor. Build a little bit of a floor. Put our stairs in. And then put a chest minecart here. We're going to fill this up with coal blocks just because that will be easier to maintain. Any type of fuel will work. So fill this up with coal blocks and put a lever in. That's going to fill up our hopper, or that's going to fill up our smokers. And then this would be your farm input, but instead of a farm input, I'm going to grab a whole bunch of shulkers of pork chops. And before I actually start the smoking process, I'm going to put barrels full of shulkers in the back. Again, in 1.21, there can be shulker auto crafters back here, and that would work just fine. But for now, we're going to put just a barrel full of shulkers. And then we will start this farm off by just placing a whole bunch of pork chops. So the way that this is going to work is the pork chops are going to smelt using these coal blocks. This first furnace is going to fully smelt everything before the last furnace gets anything. So this one's going to do all of its smelting. There's going to be a few of them that are lit. And then once the furnace is not smelting any longer, we know it is time to take items out. So I'm going to go AFK, probably edit this build tutorial, and then we'll come back when we are actually able to pull items out. And you can see they are getting held in this hopper, which means that we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus a double chest, plus a stack of materials. And that is how I get the XP totals that you use for the entire build. So let me get to editing and AFK this for a little bit, and we'll check back in. Okay, after several hours, we're back. And you can see this chest is full, this hopper's full, this is full. And actually, all of these XP banks are filled up. I disconnected these shulkers because it was backed up when I came back, and we don't really need it backed up. But let me show you how this works. So let's go to survival. And now, if I were to grab these pork chops out, I got 30 levels there. And I'm going to go back into creative. And then I can fly down here. And you can see that these are still full. But when I push this button, this piston comes down. And then this piston is soft invert powering this block. So these are actually draining. And while this is draining, it is loading up that shulker box. You can see here the pork chops are coming down, and they're coming down at about 2 hopper speed, but they can only go into the shulker at 1 hopper speed. This is going to fill up right here and then get broken, and it should get broken 3 times as this is emptying. So what that should amount to with the pork chops is about 3 shulkers worth of pork chops will have gone through, because remember, this is actively smelting right now. So I can hook this up. This is actively smelting, so more pork chops are going to go through than what is stored in there. And if I needed more XP, go back into survival, I can grab from any of these. And then I would just go push this button here. And if I go back into creative, that one's pushed down. And it is emptying. Which one was that one that I pushed? It's this one right here. You can see it's emptying into that shulker. This guy was full. It is getting emptied out. Just getting reset for the next set of items to go through it. This is going to take a long time to drain, because you can imagine there's a lot of items in there. It's going to take around 40. It's going to take around 45 minutes to drain all of the items out and get them into shulkers. Anyway, let's talk some statistics. How much XP is this? So it is with potatoes, beef, pork chops, mutton, chicken, rabbit, cod, or salmon. This will yield 1,953 XP per item that you pull out. That is enough to repair a 1 1/3 diamond picks, 1 netherite pick almost exactly, or 5 elytras, or your entire set of gear, either netherite or diamond. Now, if you fill this with sea pickles, kelp, iron or gold tools, any of the stone variants, glass, chorus, fruit, etc., stuff like that, that's 0.1 XP. What that will give you is a total of 558 experience. That is around half of a diamond tool, around a third of a netherite tool, about 1 elytra, maybe about repairing your diamond, 1 piece of diamond gear or 1 piece of netherite gear. Now, if you were to do cactus, and if you follow the myths from Java into Bedrock, people tell you cactus is the best. It isn't. On Bedrock, it's 0.2. On Java, it's 1. It's a bug on Java. It's a recognized bug, but they haven't patched it. So, on Bedrock, if you do cactus, you're only going to get 1,000 experience. That means it is worse than pork chops. It's worse than beef. So if you get 1,000 experience, that's about 1 diamond tool, about 80% of a diamond tool, about 2 elytras worth of experience, or about 2 pieces of gear, like netherite or diamond gear. So this is designed for preparing 1 netherite tool with 1 pull using one of the meat variants. And remember, in order for this down here to work, it needs to be all the same type of meat. It doesn't have to be pork chops, but it has to be all the same items. This will only trigger if you use the same item type. Anyway, that is the furnace array, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, like the video. If you want to see more tutorials, I have a ton of them planned. Do drop me a subscribe, maybe ring that bell. Anyway, this is Mad Hatter, and I'm out. Bye.